It's far from ideal, I'm not gonna lie. It's a beautiful loco, but what the hell is going on there? Hey guys, welcome back to Proper Chuffed. My name's Hilton and I still have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. That is half the fun of this, isn't it? Before we dive into this week's episode, I just want to say that if you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope you enjoy this content, and if you do, please consider subscribing. If you're one of my many returning viewers, thank you very much for coming back, guys. It's good to see you again. Now, if you've ever explored the West Highlands, which I fortunately have done twice, you'll know that there's just so much to do and see and explore. It's just such a rugged and beautiful terrain, and there's so much on offer, from cycling routes to hiking trails and castles to see, all sorts really. Now, my heritage railway line and my first layout is based on the West Highlands, and it's a fictitious railway where numerous prototypes have been resurrected and brought back to life and are now running. But I wanted something to service that. So essentially I wanted a main line that sort of attaches to the heritage line, where people can arrive, get off and join onto the heritage line and then explore all the sights and sounds, including the whiskey distillery that I'm planning. So I needed something to sort of service that, and I think I found the perfect thing, and that is Hornby's Class 153 DMU. Now, it's not so much a DMU, it's just a D, I guess. No multiple unit here. It's a super sprinter coach that's sort of designed to, have cyclists and hikers, people with dogs, come on board, take the sprinter up into sort of the most remote areas, and then depart and head off into the mountains and pick thistles and eat haggis or whatever these people do. And this is really a perfect loco to do that job. So I'm quite excited today. I think I paid about £120 for this. It's a stellar little locomotive, not without its problems though. So let's dive in and take a look at it. So here she is then, the Class 153, number 153380 from Hornby. Fantastic little super sprinter coach with this absolutely stunning Scotrail Explorer livery. And obviously the box art I think does total justice to what's inside, because this really is a fantastic livery. We got the Highland cow there. I'm not sure what this castle name is, but they've got some mountain bikers, and then we've got the Glenfinnan Viaduct there, which is also very pretty. Okay, so without further ado, let's take a look at it. I paid £120 for this, which I think is a very fair price for quite a sturdy locomotive overall. It is an 8-pin DCC ready locomotive. I have taken the liberty to already fit the 8-pin decoder inside, so it's up and ready to run. But without further ado, let's take a look. Right, inside the box you'll find your instruction manual, just a simple 2-pager of the Class 153 diesel rail car, a couple instructions, how to remove the body, then obviously decoder installation and the likes, and then how to lubricate all the bearings and such. Very simple guide. And the real deal is here. We have an accessories pack with a couple of NEM couplers. I've already got the blanking plate in there, as well as some sort of more realistic couplers to attach to it. Now, I've actually taken off the NEM couplers simply because I don't think it needs to be pulling anything at all. And here she is in a most magnificent livery. Can you get a load of that? That is absolutely stunning. There's a lot of riveting going on here, and the livery has been applied obviously on top of that, which makes it look even more realistic. The glazing on the windows here looks quite realistic. Good reflections here I'm seeing. Not incredibly detailed, I will say. There's sort of, on the bogies and stuff, sort of a rather basic plastic bogie design with a fair amount of detail, I suppose, but nothing to sort of write home about. It really is what we're looking at though, is the livery on this sprinter coach. It's absolutely fantastic. On the top of the locomotive, there's a fairly basic riveting and a couple of ports and such. At the front, We've got our little snowplow as well as the cab on both ends. I believe only one end of the cab was operated from, according to what I've read up on this loco. But without further ado, I think let's switch on the lights and take a closer look at this, as well as some history on the Class 153 Super Sprinters. In 1987 and 1988, regional railways received 35 two-coach Class 155 units from Leyland Bus, manufactured at its Workington factory to replace aging DMUs. With the introduction of Class 155s into service, there arose a need to replace aging rail cars on rural lines, particularly Class 121 and 122. British Rail addressed this by dividing each unit in the Regional Railways Class 155 fleet into two separate rail cars, resulting in a fleet of 70 vehicles. The conversion contract was awarded to Hunslet Barclay in 1990, with the work executed at the firm's Kilmarnock plant in 1991 and 1992. Powered by the Cummins NT855R5, an inline-six turbo diesel, the Class 153 boasts a power output of 285 horsepower and is limited to a maximum speed of 75 miles an hour. In the 2019-2020 timeframe, 5 former GWR 153s were transferred from Northern to Abellio Scotrail for service on the West Highland line routes, connecting Glasgow and Oban. This collaboration involved the existing Class 156 fleet. The first refurbished carriage was unveiled in late 2020. The interior of these trains underwent a makeover featuring complimentary Wi-Fi, power outlets, USB sockets, and tables equipped with maps of the West Highland line. Scotrail markets this upgraded service as the Highland Explorer, with a £10 upgrade fee for passengers choosing it. Notably, due to a local agreement with the drivers' union, ASLEF, Scotrail's Class 153s can only be operated from the AN cab, as the BN cab is considered unsuitable for long-distance driving. So here she is then, Hornby's Class 153 DMU Super Sprinter, the Highland Explorer. And I think the first word that comes to mind when I look at this is vibrant. This livery is quite jarring, not in a bad way. It's a fantastic livery. There's so much detail, so much imagery, and it evokes so many different emotions when you look at it. And I think they've really nailed it in the real world terms as well as this model. It really is a very attractive livery on this locomotive. I think what strikes me about this model is the fidelity of the print that's been done on it. If you look at the builder's plate on the front there, as well as the overhead electrification warning stickers that have been applied to the front window frames, they're really crisp looking, and I'm quite impressed with that. On the doors too, the warning labels and sort of stickers that have been applied are very crisp. The model itself, while fairly detailed, isn't something to write home about particularly. Unfortunately, the NEM coupling socket is rather noticeable once it's been removed. While you probably wouldn't see it when it's running on the layout, in the light box here it's very evident, and it looks quite odd, especially once you've got that second coupling unit just below the main door frames there. But this is what we're here for, the livery applied to the side of the body, and I must just say this is rather impressive. It really sort of harks back to the sort of LNER posters of yesteryear in my mind, the sort of color palette that's being used here, and it kind of gives you a very broad idea of what all of Scotland has to offer. It's rather crisp, although a little bit blurry in some locations. Overall, from sort of viewing distance, it is rather impressive just how much detail has been included here, and I must commend Hornby on a very well done print. As I mentioned earlier, the bogies and detailing is a little bit dull when it comes to the actual mechanics of the unit. However, I'm not sure how true to life that is. Perhaps the real things are equally dull. Not all 24 seats from the real life version are included in this model, however, as there is a large space reserved for the motor and chip plate. But you can see a fair amount of detail inside, and you could, if you wished, include passengers and perhaps even some bike racks if you wanted to go to that level of detail. Overall, it's a very good looking model. So here she is then, on track, the Class 153 Super Sprinter Scotrail Adventurer. Quite a mouthful, that full title. I've fitted the 8-pin DCC decoder on board already, and I have removed the NEM couplers, so you can see it's a lot more sort of realistic looking. So I'm going to just switch on the lights here. A very sort of faint light, not super powerful by any means, and I think quite realistic looking in that regard, which I can appreciate, as well as I'm sure a few of you will. Let's see how she performs under power. I haven't adjusted any CVs or anything on this decoder, so she should probably come out the gate screaming. Let's just put her under very low power at this point. Okay, bit of a judder there. Let's try the other way. Okay, I can hear motor spinning. Okay, that is at minimum. That is not looking great. She really seems to be shaking her way to life there. And a bit of a clicking noise as well. A little bit better the other way, although not much. I know that there's pickup obviously on both sides of the bogies, rather on both bogies. However, it does seem that power is only being supplied to one of the bogies. Really doesn't sound good, unfortunately. However, I have not run her in yet, so I'm going to do that now, and I'll get back to you in a few minutes. Right, so run-in completed. I've run her 30 minutes each way at about 50% speed, just to see if she can get all lubed up and rolling smoothly. Unfortunately, it does seem that the issue is persisting. It does seem that she is kind of very cranky to get going under slow power. You can see that juddering there. Very, very visible. And it applies both ways. In fact, it's probably a bit worse when she's running from this side. And a pretty terrible noise too. I'm not very impressed with that, I'm not gonna lie. The loco looks fantastic, but she doesn't seem to be performing very well. Okay, unfortunately you can't win them all, sadly. While this is an absolutely beautiful looking locomotive, this and that state of performance really isn't up to snuff, I'm afraid, from what I've come to expect anyways, and what I've experienced. This is not fantastic. I'm pretty disappointed with this. At 120 pounds, I would expect this locomotive to come out of the box and be running very smoothly. Now, this may be an issue with my unit specifically. I have done a bit of research. I haven't seen anything else from anyone else. So it does seem like it's an isolated instance. More than likely, if you pick one of these up, you probably won't have any issues. But mine does seem to have a problem. It does require further investigation on my part. I may need to open up that motor. Not something I really want to do with a brand new model, but it may be the only choice I have. Unfortunately, because I live in South Africa, there's no way I'm sending this back to Hornby in the UK. So it's going to be up to me to try and repair it or diagnose it and see what's wrong with it. I won't be doing that now, but you know, I am taking this at face value. This is the locomotive I've received. It's straight out of the box, and frankly, it's just not performing at slow speeds. So I can't recommend it personally. However, there may be, again, this might just be a single unit issue, and the entire range might be fine. So I'm not discounting at all, but I'm just being honest. I'm not happy. I'm happy with the way it looks. I think it looks awesome. And honestly, once it's up to speed, it's fantastic. So if I put it under power immediately, let's run it the other way. It's smooth, and that sound does not persist. It, in fact, is very smooth once it's over about 40% power. It's very, very smooth, like butter, actually. But that crawl really just isn't it, I'm afraid. It's very, very disappointing. That kind of jerkiness, and the sound it makes. It's far from ideal, I'm not gonna lie. It's a beautiful loco, but what the hell is going on there? Anyways, I'll put her under power and we'll run her around the track a bit more. I hope you enjoy. So now I may just have lucked out with my DMU. I think, once it's up to speed and running, it seems to be pretty solid. But the slower sort of crawling stuff, not fantastic, I must admit. I have seen other reviews. I know Jenny Kirk did a review on this, and I think she had, only good things to say about it. Obviously the livery is fantastic. The way it looks is beautiful. So, there's no denying that. But obviously mine has got a few little niggling issues. I will say though, I can't really return it. So, I'm stuck with it. I may tinker around with it and see if I can figure out what the issue is. However, even if the issue does persist with the sort of staggered crawl, there's nothing I can really do about that. I can't have it sent back to Hornby. I live in South Africa. It's a bit of a problem. So I've just got to sort of grin and bear it, I guess. Regardless, it's a stunning little locomotive. I think the actual, the livery and the way it looks, and I think once the sort of scenery starts to come to life, it'll look fantastic rolling around in the West Highland hills. So I'm quite keen on that. I hope you enjoyed the video though. The collection is growing. I think there are a couple pitfalls here within sort of getting going. Everything's really exciting and you're thinking, oh, I might miss out on that, and you end up buying quite a lot of stuff, which, is not the best financial decision. But hey ho, here we are. I'm enjoying it so much. It's just such a fantastic thing, picking up new locos, working on the layout. As for the layout itself, I've got an update coming very soon. I've been building some Metcalf kits with the help of my girlfriend, Annie. In fact, I might rope her into a video and just get her to give you her 2 cents on how these Metcalf's kit all come together. She's been really enjoying them. We've been having a good time together, sort of putting them together. So you might have seen a couple of them already on the layout, but I'll talk about that in the next video. I've been really enjoying this though, overall. The response, the way you guys interact with me, the conversations that we're having in the comments is really fantastic. There are a couple guys that watch in, week out, and are always there to comment and give me their thoughts, and I really appreciate it. And I see you guys, and I really appreciate the fact that you're following my journey. It means a hell of a lot to me, like really. I think I'm at 820 subscribers right now, and that's mind-blowing after like 17 videos. But I was thinking about it. I was watching one of my friends, James, who I've made sort of friends with through YouTube. Now he's got a channel called Little Western Railway. James was talking about the fact that we should be supporting each other as small YouTubers, and I think there's no more perfect person to shout out this week, because I'm going to follow along and take a leaf from his book and shout out James himself, because he's got a fantastic railway that he's building up, and he's a really great guy. Thoroughly enjoyed his content so far. So yeah, here's to you, James. Guys, if you are watching and at this point of the video, please go check out Little Western Railway. I will link his channel in the description below. He's a fantastic guy and could use all the support. So that's that. Cheers to you. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy the content and you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. And until next time, keep your engines fired and stay on track. All the best.